The storm howled across Outpost Helion 9, ice particles scraping against reinforced windows like tiny claws. Corporal Maya Grant stood at the observation deck, watching the blizzard engulf their small human settlement on Tarses 4. After 12 years of military service, this remote posting was supposed to be her quiet pre-retirement assignment. The Tarsis Vale sector had been peaceful for decades, at least until the galactic science. Union vessel had arrived 3 days ago, hunting void-spine beasts in direct violation of the non-interference treaty. They're going to get themselves killed. Maya muttered, fog forming with each breath against the viewport. Communications Officer Ikin appeared beside her. Latest scan shows the GSU ship disabled near the northern ridge. They're not responding to hails. Idiots, she sighed. Prep V. Emergency team, but wait until this storm breaks. That's when the proximity alarm sounded. The security feed showed something. Impossible, a massive shape, moving through the whiteout conditions with deliberate purpose. Its spine ridges glowed electric blue against the snow, cutting through the blizzard like a ghostly ship. Void spine, whispered Ekin, his dark skin paling. Full lockdown protocols. But Maya held up her hand, transfixed. The creature wasn't attacking. It moved with labored effort, dragging something in its massive jaws. Blood iridescent purple stained the snow beneath it. It's wounded, Maya said quietly. The beast reached the perimeter fence, its body nearly the size of a transport shuttle. Close up, Maya could see the damaged plasma burns along its flank, a clear signature of GSU weapons. With deliberate gentleness, it placed something at the gate, a smaller bundle that pulsed with the same electric blue light before locking eyes with the camera. Those eyes. Maya would never forget them. Not predatory, but knowing. Intelligent. Beyond measure. Then the beast turned and disappeared into the storm dot against all protocols and Ekon's protests. Maya suited up and ventured outside. The winds nearly knocked her flat, but she pressed forward to the perimeter gate. There, nestled in the snow, was a juvenile void spine, no larger than a Terran wolf pup. Its spines were soft and flexible, its 6 eyes blinking slowly up at her. Why? You? Maya whispered, kneeling beside the creature. Every species in the galaxy fears your kind. The infant void spine trembled, its bioluminescent markings pulsing weakly. Without hesitation, Maya scooped it into her arms. The creature immediately curled against her chest, seeking warmth. Back inside, chaos erupted. The science team wanted to quarantine it. Security wanted to destroy it. The Galactic Council representative demanded they surrender it immediately. No, Maya stated firmly, watching the creature sleep in a makeshift nest in her quarters. Something's happening here. Something we don't understand. That night, as Maya drifted to sleep, she felt a strange connection forming a gentle presence at the edges of her consciousness. And across the stars, more void spines were bringing their young to human outposts, shipyards, a forgotten. Truth was awakening. And the galaxy was about to remember. 3 weeks later. Maya watched in amazement as the juvenile void spine, now named Nove, effortlessly scaled the walls of her quarters. Its spines had hardened into a brilliant cobalt blue, and it had doubled in size. More remarkably, it responded to her commands, displaying intelligence far beyond any documented behavior. He shouldn't be able to understand complex language patterns, muttered Dr. Aisha Chun, the station's xenobiologist, recording Nova's movements. This species has always been classified as instinct-driven predators. Maybe we've been wrong about them, Maya suggested. The comm unit buzzed. Corporal, incoming. Transmission from Galactic Council headquarters. Priority Alpha. The stern face of High Counselor Vexinar appeared on screen, his reptilian features tight with concern. Corporal Grant, you are harboring a Class 1 biological threat. 17 human settlements have now reported void spine juveniles delivered. To them, this cannot be coincidence. It's not, Maya agreed. But it's not a threat either. The Zulaxian Confederation is mobilizing their fleet. They believe humans have secretly been controlling these creatures as weapons. This could lead to war. Nova sensed Maya's sudden anxiety and leapt to her side, spines bristling protectively. A counselor's eyes widened. "It's bonded to you," he whispered. Before Maya could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. 3 unmarked ships had breached atmosphere a stealth attack. The blast came without warning, rocking the entire facility and plunging them into emergency lighting. "Mercenaries!" Ekin shouted over the comms. "They're after the void spine." Smoke filled the corridors as Maya raced toward the command center, Nova keeping pace beside her. They rounded a corner to find 3 armed figures in black exosuits. Maya reached for her sidearm, but she was too slow. The lead mercenary fired. Nova leapt. Time seemed to slow as the juvenile void spine's body intercepted the energy blast meant for Maya. Instead of falling, Nova's spines absorbed the energy, glowing white-hot before releasing it back in a concussive wave that slammed all 3 attackers against the wall. "That's impossible," Maya gasped. In the aftermath, as security contained the situation, Dr. Chun discovered something in the station archives, a fragmented record dating back over 1,000 years. It showed primitive sketches of humans standing alongside. Full-grown void spines, their hands resting on the creature's spines. "There's more," Chun said, excitement in her voice. During the Quantum Wars, before the Galactic Council formed, humans were known as the Guardians. There are references to them standing with creatures of the void against some ancient threat. That night, as Nova slept curled at the foot of her bed, Maya experienced a dream unlike any other stars exploding into life. Vast creatures swimming through nebulae and humans, standing sentinel against a darkness between worlds. Woke, Nova was watching her with all 6 eyes, and somehow she knew they both had seen the same vision. The memories weren't just Nova's. They belonged to them both. The Galactic Council emergency session convened on the neutral space station Harmony. Representatives from 37 species filled the grand chamber, their voices creating a cacophony of tension and fear. Maya stood at the center with Nola, now the size of an Earth Mountain lion, calmly seated beside her. "This is madness," shouted Ambassador Kral of the Tundari Federation, his crystalline appendages vibrating with agitation. "Humans have clearly engineered these beasts to recognize their genetic signatures. It explains why void spines have never attacked human settlements." The accusation sparked furious agreement from several delegations. Maya noticed how they kept their distance, fear evident in their postures. High Counselor Vexnar raised his clawed hands for silence. "Corporal Grant, explain why we shouldn't view this behavior as a prelude to human aggression." Maya stepped forward. "The void spines aren't weapons. They're messengers." She gestured to Dr. Chun, who activated a holographic display. Ancient cave paintings from early human history appeared, showing figures standing with spined creatures under starlit skies. "These images predate our space travel by millennia," Maya explained. "The connection between humans and void spines isn't new, it was forgotten." Nova suddenly stood alert, spines illuminating. Throughout the chamber, comms units crackled with emergency signals. Multiple void spine adults detected approaching the station. A security officer announced. Panic erupted as the massive viewports revealed what appeared to be an armada of the enormous creatures, their bioluminescent spines, cutting through the darkness of space like living constellations. "They shouldn't be able to survive in vacuum," whispered Dr. Chun. "They're not in vacuum," Maya realized, watching the subtle distortion around each beast. They're manipulating energy fields. Before anyone could respond, the station systems went dark. Emergency lighting bathed the chamber in crimson as a deep vibration permeated the hull. In the silence that followed, Nova approached the viewport and placed one clawed paw against the transparent material. Outside, the largest void spine easily the size of a destroyer mirrored the gesture back unexpectedly. Ambassador Ikari of the ancient Meridian Collective rose. The rarely seen elder species had remained silent until now. "We remember," the ambassador said, voice resonating strangely. "When the void breach occurred 10,000 years ago, when the Ancient Ones threatened to consume all life, the humans stood with the Star Guardians." Murmurs spread through the chamber as Ikari approached Maya and Nova. The Star Guardians, what you now call void spines, were not always creatures of physical form. They were beings of pure energy who sacrificed their transcendent state to seal the breach. Humans were the only species who fought alongside them without fear. Nova's spines glowed brighter, and somehow Maya understood. The dreams, the connection, they were memories passed down through generations. "The void spines remember what we promised," she said quietly. "To protect their young if they ever needed us again." Outside, the armada of void spines remained, a silent reminder of an alliance long forgotten and perhaps soon needed again. Asterisk. 1 month after the council meeting, Maya stood on the bridge of the science vessel Horizon, staring at the phenomenon that had appeared at the edge of the Tarsi's Veil. A vast tier in space-time stretched across the viewscreen, its edges pulsing with energy that defied analysis. "The breach is expanding," reported Science Officer Takeda. "And there's something else, the same energy signature as the void spines." Nova, now almost fully grown and integrated into Maya's crew, pressed against her side. His spines pulsed with anxiety. They knew, Maya realized. The void spines sensed this was coming. That's why they brought us their young. The comms crackled as Admiral Reyes of the Human Defense Fleet appeared on screen. "Corporal Grant, we're detecting similar breaches in 7 sectors. The Galactic Council is in disarray. Some species are fleeing, others are preparing for war." "Against what?" Maya asked. Her answer came as darkness spilled from the breach writhing. Shapes with no definable form, consuming light and matter alike. "The Ancient Ones," whispered Ambassador Ikari, who had insisted on joining the mission. "The Void Eaters have returned." Maya turned to Nova. "Is this what you've been preparing for?" The void spine's response came not as words, but as images flooding. Maya's mind stars dying, planets crumbling, and a desperate last stand where humans and void spines fought side by side. "Admiral," Maya said firmly, "we need to gather every human settlement with void spine juveniles. This isn't a coincidence, it's preparation." Within hours, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Every void spine juvenile raised by humans was exhibiting the same behavior, their spines glowing with increasing intensity, creating fields of energy that could repel the darkness emerging from the breaches. On colony worlds already under attack, a pattern emerged. Human settlements with void spines remained protected while others fell to the encroaching void. "It's symbiosis," Dr. Chun explained during an emergency briefing. "The void spines generate the energy field, but they need a specific frequency only. Human brainwaves provide to stabilize it." As the Horizon approached the primary breach, hundreds of adult void spines converged around them, forming a protective escort. Their massive bodies moved with surprising grace, spines illuminating the darkness. "They're communicating," Maya said, feeling Nova's consciousness brush against hers. "They need us to complete the seal, just like before." Admiral raised his face. Was grim on the view screen. "The council races are divided. Some are fleeing, others blame us for this catastrophe. Then we'll have to show them," Maya replied, watching as Nova's spines began to glow with unprecedented brilliance. "We'll remind them what alliance truly means." Outside, the armada of void spines formed a pattern around the breach, their energy fields beginning to push back the darkness. But gaps remained gaps that only humans could fill. The ancient partnership was about to be tested once more. The final confrontation came not with weapons, but with understanding. Maya stood on the observation platform of the Human Alliance flagship, surrounded by representatives from every human colony that had raised void-spine juveniles. Each person had formed a unique bond with their charge, and now those connections would be their greatest weapon. Nova, fully grown and majestic, stood beside Maya as she addressed the assembled forces. "For millennia, we forgot who we were," she sighed, her voice carrying to the hundreds gathered. The void spines never forgot. They remembered when humans stood with them as guardians of reality itself. Across the viewscreen, the breach had expanded to consume entire star systems. The void entities poured through in increasing numbers, their non-forms distorting everything they touched. "Today we remember," Maya concluded. The assembled humans and their void spine partners moved into formation. As the flagship approached, the primary breach, adult void spines by the thousands converged from across the galaxy, forming a living barrier between existence and obliteration. Admiral Race's voice came through the comms. "The council races are watching. Many still don't trust us, but they've ceased hostilities. They'll understand soon enough," Maya replied at her signal. Every human closed their eyes and reached out with their minds to their void spine partners. Nova's consciousness intertwined with Maya's, and together they accessed something ancient and powerful, the memory of how to seal the breach. Energy cascaded from the void spines, flowing through their human partners and amplifying beyond anything modern science could explain. The humans weren't controlling the beasts. They were completing them, forming a circuit of consciousness that transcended physical limitations. The light from thousands of void spines merged into a blinding wall that pushed against the darkness. Where the energies met, reality itself shuddered on. The Council observation vessel, Ambassador Ikari, turned to High Counselor Vexenor. "Now you understand. This is why the void spines sought the humans. Not as masters or servants, but as equals, as partners." Across the galaxy, more breaches began to close as human void spine pairs replicated the sealing process. The darkness retreated, howling in frequencies that made stars tremble. In the aftermath, as the final breach sealed with a flash that momentarily outshone the galactic core itself, Maya stood exhausted but triumphant. Nova pressed his massive head against her shoulder in a gesture of affection and relief. The comm unit activated, showing the faces of the Galactic Council. "The galaxy owes humanity a debt," High Counselor Vexenor admitted, "and an apology. What we feared as a weapon was actually our salvation." Maya smiled, scratching Nova behind his sensory ridge. "Fear is easy. Understanding takes courage." The void spines knew that when they chose to trust us with their most precious gift, their children. In the months that followed, humans and void spines were officially recognized as paired guardians, their ancient alliance formalized in galactic law. Research outposts were established to study the breaches and prevent future incursions. And on planets throughout the Tarsis Veil, a new generation of humans raised alongside void spine juveniles learned the truth that their ancestors had forgotten, that sometimes the most dangerous creatures in the universe are not to be feared, but understood. For in understanding comes trust, and in trust, the strongest bonds of all. As Maya watched Nova's offspring play with children in the new Guardian Academy. On Earth, she knew that this time, the galaxy would not forget. Asterisk.